All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of Soft Elbows. I'm one of your hosts, Steve Yonda, and this is sister to many, mommy to a few, Abigail. We're delirious. This is Abby. You know her name, Abby Richards.
Yep.
We are
Good.
we are
She is.
coming to you live from the Courtyard Marriott somewhere Maryland. We just finished day one of 2025 WSO Championships. For the sake of Abby's mom, Abby and I are sharing this hotel room, but there are two beds. Abby's mom, two beds. And just wanted to get that on the record for all the rumor mongers. Brian Leung, looking at you. We are going to talk about a lot of WSO related matters today. But first things first, day one, I think, if I do say so myself, went pretty well.
Great success.
Nice. We're going to talk about changes that we made to this year's WSO championships that we are hoping you all liked. We're going to talk about how we felt about how those changes have gone after one day of data. And we're going to talk about changes that we're considering making in the future, or at least like ideas that we're throwing around. And these are ideas that Abby's going to put out in polls on the Instagram page at some point in the next couple of weeks, so we can get your guys' thoughts as well.
But with no solid timeline, because we know I get overstimulated by my big girl job, and also I don't want to be held to a timeline.
So sometime between now and January 2026, we will float these ideas out to you guys, and you can let us know what a bunch of idiots we are. Abby, you, for all of your talk, weren't an announcer until the last session of today, and I gotta tell you, I think the people were disappointed.
I think the people were disappointed, and a lot of people did come up to me after the last session and be like, damn, like you couldn't have announced for my session. But you know what? There was a lot of talk by other people maybe that are in this hotel room about how like there's maybe other announcers that are better. And so I wanted to give some people the opportunity to prove it. And maybe no, I don't want to say that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna edit that piece. I forget my train of thought.
People love you as an announcer.
People do like me as an announcer, and so hopefully I can deliver tomorrow on day 2 of this event. My voice hurts, my brain hurts. So I don't know, but we'll see. Who's to say? Time will tell.
Before we talk about how at least day one went, that's all we know that existed at this point in the recording. We do want to shout out some specific people because it takes a ton of folks to put this event on. A lot of volunteers. Thank you all so much for your time. We know that driving out to Laurel is an adventure in and of itself. And then many of you are competing and volunteering afterwards. We appreciate that you're tired and you're hungry and you want to go spend whatever your weekend doing whatever. We appreciate you guys sticking around, and specifically we appreciate people who weren't competing and just came out to support the community. All of you are awesome. But 4 people in specific we wanted to shout out. One, Brian Leung, who for as much of a hard time as we give him, really does do a great job of. He kind of guides the ship as far as organizing really all the things
everything,
that we do.
literally everything,
and just like really is just a very smart, very capable, like steady hand to guide this ship forward. The second one, the person who, don't tell Brian I said this, is actually in charge of the WSO committee is Kelly Nichols. And Kelly was comp secretary for this meet. She was comp secretary for last year's meet too. And again, like her and Brian really, they do, I don't know, 80% of the organizing and getting everything in place so that we can put it all together and put on the meet that we're hoping you guys really enjoy. So those two, like all the committee members, they do their part. But Brian and Kelly really drive this thing home and make it the success that we believe it is.
Absolutely.
2 other folks. If you liked the for the people that watched the live stream, if you liked the replay,
Yeah. Highlight
reel,
replays, the highlight reels, the live stream period.
Yeah, if you enjoyed that, if you enjoyed the walkout songs, the walkout music, if you enjoy the technical aspects, all the things that really like make this digitally and visually appealing both on the live stream and in person. Scott Gonzalez, who isn't even from this WSO, but he comes down to so many of our local meets, and he donates his time. He is. I mean, USAW uses his stuff, his programming on the national scale, and he's very generous with his time and coming down and helping out. He was here with us on Friday night when we were setting up. He'll be one of the last ones helping us shut it down. He does a great job, and it always comes through for us when we need him.
Agreed.
And lastly, we mentioned on the last show, we were part of a safe sport audit this year. We feel good about how we did. We got good feedback, but USA Weightlifting in to support us and to help us kind of go through that. JP Nicoletta, who is an alumnus.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I did it. I did it.
He did it.
Soft Elbows alumnus. He came out again. He was here on Friday helping us load everything out or unpack everything. He was volunteering all day today. He's going to be back tomorrow, and I mean, it was really cool getting support from like the mothership to help us navigate all the things that went with the audit. So
it's also just really nice that somebody from national office got to be here with all of you in our community, and we got to show him that DMV WSO is not just the 8 of us on the committee, and the few people that JP maybe has formerly known just by working with USAW, but for you guys to get to put on for him and to show him what this community is all about, I think was really wonderful. I brag to a lot of people pretty often in other WSOs about how great our community is and how it's been really, really wonderful for me specifically, being that I kind of came from Baltimore, and I wasn't totally that involved in the community in the past, and you've all welcomed me with open arms. You've embraced me as admin, and like I feel like I've made so many friendships, and it's cool to be able to get to brag about that to somebody who is as high up as JP, and for him to get to witness that in real time. And I think we set a really good example of what we are all about here in the DMV. So amazing work to everybody, and I hope you all feel really good about that too.
Let's talk about some of the upgrades that we tried to make this year and how we think they went. And we'll start with the one that I think is the coolest, which is getting our logo like lasered. I don't know how they do this. Carved, lasered.
I think
Paper
lasered. I don't know very much about woodworking. All I know is that we sent a very nice piece of plywood to York, Pennsylvania, and it came back looking beautiful with our big DMV logo on it.
Yes, so for the lifters and for the folks who came to watch live, and for the people who watched on the live stream, hopefully you guys noticed the DMV logo is on the front of the platform, the competition platform now. We really tried to think of ways, like even small ways, to like enhance the experience for the competitors, for the athletes, and tangentially, not tangentially, but secondarily for the viewers, both in person and at home. And we thought that was one way that we could like spruce things up a little bit, make it look a little bit niftier. Niftier is the word kids are using these days. Craftier,
maybe.
We tried to make it look.
God, we are so unk.
Yeah. But I think it turned out really well. The company that did it did a great job. And we hope that it was just a small thing that you guys thought was cool. Other things
in general, we did a lot of really little details that just like people like normally you wouldn't even think of it until you notice it, and you're like, oh, that is cool. Like we had signs for the warm-up area for the weigh-in. We had a welcome sign like they do at big national meets so that people know where to go. Like
I will say, with regard to the welcome sign, just so you guys know, we had to put it on an easel, but the original idea was for one of the committee members, Bianca Macias, was supposed to stand outside and hold the sign and greet people in person, but I guess decided not to, so we put it on an easel. Anyway, you can send your complaints to DMV Weightlifting.
Don't do that.
No. Okay.
I will not be fielding any complaints for the foreseeable future. Thank you very much.
All right. But in all seriousness, the signs might seem like a small thing, and in some degree, in many areas, it is. They are small things. But again, we're trying to, for anyone who's been to AO1, AO2, AO finals, nationals. Those are the types of signage, frankly, that they have at those events. We try to use similar style, and we're trying to give this, national feel at a local event. So hopefully you guys A, noticed, and B, thought, oh, that's cool. Upgrades in the back. Last year we just kind of like threw the plates on the ground and said, "Good luck, guys. Have fun." And this year we tried to we not tried to we borrowed from several different places and got a bunch of the weight racks. Hopefully that was a little bit easier for you guys to get things in and out.
I thought it was, as somebody who counted and helped in the back most of the day today, I noticed it like noticeably different than when you just are flopping plates around. And like some coaches do a really nice job of putting their platforms back how they found it when they're done with it. Some not so much. And I do think considerably more coaches put their areas back to how they found them today with those little racks, than when we just set plates next to the platform. So I think that was like, it was noticeably less chaotic in the back, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a true Field of Dreams situation. If you build it, they will put their weights back. That's how that phrase goes.
Yep, that was really good.
For anyone who never saw that movie, that's exactly how that quote went. The walkout songs, you loved the walkout.
Did I love
music? You loved organizing it. You loved.
Steve is so funny, guys.
Guys, I'm so funny.
You know,
what do you think of the walkout songs, Ed?
I think they could be executed better.
By us or by the people?
A little bit of both, if I'm being honest. Some people maybe don't know how to read the room. No, just it's tough logistically. Like, think about it. There were, like, when people think of walkout songs, I think some people think of like certain snippets from music. Like, I think some were submitted with like starting at this time mark on this specific song, and it's just like, we're not. I can't do that.
What was your favorite song to reject? Because some of you, as some of you know, you didn't all get the songs that you wanted, perhaps because they were, I don't know, a little raunchy or something.
It contained N bombs.
Yeah, we can't do that, guys.
We can't do that, guys. Come on.
What was your favorite song to reject?
I don't remember the name of it, but I clicked the link because when we like asked, or when we were collecting this data from everybody ahead of time, we gave you the option to use a Spotify, or to include a Spotify link. I did have to go in and audit every single one of the links that you guys provided, and it's a really good thing that I thought to do that, because there were some N bombs, there were some F bombs, some
lyrics that I think perhaps our mothers wouldn't appreciate.
Yeah, and like, I think that there's a standard at a weightlifting meet where there are parents that aren't in the community, like there's kids, but I think there should be still a level of somewhat professionalism at weightlifting competitions where we're not using language that's so vulgar that it would get censored on TV.
Yeah.
Are
we doing them again next year? Are we doing walkout songs next year?
I would like to try them again. I do think we could execute a little bit better. Because there were a couple moments too where I did notice that like we were kind of playing the same song over and over again, and I can see how maybe for the audience that would get like great.
I'm actually curious for the audience, because I actually think about this sometimes for speakers. Yeah. Not you, of course, because you're fantastic. But I wonder how audible the music and or the speakers are to the audience.
Well, certainly for the session that I spoke for, I was screaming into the mic and I blasted the music. I played Pink Pony Club before that men's session started, and I also played a Hot to Go before the clean and jerk started, because I know what you're all wondering. I do love playing girly pop right before a men's session.
I don't think that was a question.
That was pretty clear, I'm sure. But it's funny, right? You play girly pop and then men come out and
if you had competed, you competed last year. If you had competed this year, would you have chosen one of those two songs as your walkout song, or would you have you would never have cheated on Taylor Swift like that, would you?
So Kristen Garofo, another Soft Elbows alumna.
Perhaps some might say the number one speaker in the DMV. It's hard to say.
Some can say that all they want.
Some might say that.
Some might say that, and that's fine. I thought she had a really good walk-up song. It was "Ready for It" by Taylor Swift, and that song's a banger. And that song's that gets your blood going really good when you're a Swiftie. And it arguably has one of the best stadium tour entrances that I've ever seen, but it's neither here nor there.
You just want an excuse to talk about the time she waved at you.
You're the one that brings it up.
I do.
That's all I'm saying.
I can't believe I know someone who Taylor Swift waved at.
I know, crazy, right? So that's a good one, but I don't know. To Steve's point, I don't know what my walkout song would have been. I actually really haven't thought of it because there's a few songs that I do really like when I play them in the gym and I go heavy. Rage Against the Machine, Bulls on Parade is one of them.
Okay.
My gym knows that well. Somebody at my gym tried to turn that off on Big Friday. I added it to the queue while I was squatting. And they were like, oh, I'm gonna skip this. And I was like, hell no. Respect the queue. But that's a good one. I like Money for Nothing by Dire Straits. That opening riff is so good. And if you time up Freebird just right, which I'm very bad at, the guitar solo in the middle is pretty fire.
Okay.
That gets them going.
All right.
But
okay. So next year you're gonna compete at WSOs.
I am. I'm very excited to do it next year.
And your walkout song is gonna be
one of those three. One probably.
We just talked about 6 songs, but that's okay. What did you? Here's the thing people really want to know. What did you think of Chris Camoneras' walkout music?
Oh, that was gas, dude. Okay. Also, can I just brag about Chris for a second because
yeah, we don't do enough of that on this show. His ego really is taking a hit. He needs it.
No, I just I did. No, there's a few things that I want to point out about Chris's performance. So his coach is in Philadelphia, and so Chris often places his trust into his friends, whether that's a good or a bad decision, who's to say. This is now the second time that Chris has asked me to count for him, and I feel very good that he trusts me enough to do that because that shit's scary. That's a lot of pressure. A lot of what? Oh, you made a face.
No, I'm just listening
intently. Listening. Sorry, guys.
My bad.
I'm not used to being actively listened to. I get silenced a lot. So when someone is actively listening to me, that's new. But no, new coach. I'm not a coach. I do not have an L1. I don't coach athletes. I don't solicit athletes. I like to stay in my lane as an athlete. Yes, I know how to count because Mario taught me how to do so way back in the day. And I'm a math nerd, so numbers and all of that. But I'm not a coach. And it is very nerve-wracking when somebody that I care about, I'm suddenly responsible for because I want them to do very well and I do not want to mess up their flow. And I don't want to put them in a position where they can't achieve their goals because of my what's the word I'm looking for here? Because something that I do was incorrect and that a seasoned coach wouldn't have done. So it's a lot of pressure, and I feel very fortunate that Chris trusts me to do that. That makes me feel good about myself. He went out and had a 3-for-3 day on his snatches, after, telling Steve and I leading up to this that, they haven't been going great. He's been dealing with some shoulder stuff. I thought he did spectacular in his snatches. He went 3-for-3. He didn't miss anything in the back. We asked him to take an extra attempt before he opened. Did everything. Amazing. Clean and jerks. We kind of learned from experience from counting for him in Westminster. Chris likes it a little bit more when it's not so slow and dragged out. Chris wants to kind of be in a flow and go. And so I waited to get him started for a little bit longer. And it seemed like he was like flowing a little bit better than maybe at Westminster. He wasn't sitting for too long. And same thing, we were able to adjust, had him hit 100 a couple times in the back instead of just once. And he adjusted very well. What's funny is Chris hit 127 in the back before opening. And Steve, we love him dearly. The jerk was not convincing. They were kind of a little out in front, maybe. It was a good lift, but you could tell it's getting heavy. And Chris was like, no, I want to open at 132. And so we trusted him and we opened him at 132. But Steve and I looked at each other, we're like, oh boy, this is aggressive, Chris. And man, he went out and smoked it, and then he went to 137 and smoked that even better. 137 was easily his best lift of the day. It was a 1 kilo comp PR. It was fucking awesome. There's that F-bomb. And he cleaned 141. So Chris had a spectacular day. Like truly did. And again, very fortunate that to be in that field of trust that he asked me to, help be part of this day.
I have an idea.
Okay.
You know how for Lent people give up something?
Okay.
We're gonna go on like a Chris Caminera's Lenten experience.
And not talk about him?
Yeah. Like, we get it. He's okay at this. But like I feel like
who? Wait, who's Chris?
Yeah.
All right, who is Chris? I don't know who Chris is.
Yeah, we'll get
Yeah.
We'll circle back to.
But there are some other people, Steve, that we wanted to shout out. Some other teams that we thought showed up. So let's go ahead and just pivot into that, since we don't know who this other person is that we were just talking about.
Oh, you, Chris, you're great. You're so great. No, he's not great. He's not great. We're not. Chris who? 3 clubs in general. One, BAM weightlifting. Brett Myers and BAM weightlifting. BAM weightlifting. Yeah.
Bam.
Yeah. They always bring a ton of folks to our event specifically, but they always are at the local meets. But specifically, they always bring a ton of folks to WSO championships, and it's very much appreciated. It's a great crew. Brett does a great job with them. Also, 12 Labors brought a ton of folks today, and again, I think they had a decent number of folks last year too. So
they did. They're based near Annapolis, Maryland. Shout out to Maryland. They come from a more of a CrossFit background, and it's really nice to see more of their folks getting into the weightlifting side of things and to see them show out. They had a nice showing at Cap City in DC back in April as well, and so it was really nice to see those folks continue to have great days. 2 guys that specifically I thought did wonderful. I announced for their session. They set some masters records in their weight categories. Scott Obici went 6 for 6, 3 new records. And Fred McCraig, same thing. Well, he didn't go 6 for 6, but he did incredible. I think he went 4 or 5 for 6, and once again, 3 new records. He was explaining to me his walkout song was it was a country song. It was Back in the Saddle, and he was explaining like, yeah, I haven't competed since Masters in Atlanta, and so he was getting back in the saddle. And I mean, I thought he really showed out and did a really wonderful job. So we record this podcast on my phone on a streaming service, and as I was just yapping, a little text message came through, and it was Chris thanking me and Steve, and now I feel really bad about saying who is Chris, so I just want to throw that out there.
I regret nothing, so.
Okay, well, one of us has a heart in this room.
And the third, speaking of Chris Caminera's, who we've already broken our Lenten promise to stop talking about. Speaking of Chris Caminera's, the third club we wanted to give a shout out to are the folks from GMU. I almost called them the kids from GMU because Abby and I are old as shit, and they're, relatively speaking, they're all children, but it is such a fun group to be around. They have a great time. They are so supportive of one another. Yes. They get so hyped for one another, and I don't have the energy for that anymore, but I'm so glad that they do, and I love to watch being around them watch each other lift is great. I agree. So they had a great time, or they certainly appeared to have a great time, and it's great having them all come out at WSO Championships. Do you? I know you were going to be busy. You're not going to be able to be part of the interview, but do you want to introduce our interviewee for this week's show?
I would love to. I've been friends with this gal for a minute. And she took a leap of faith and started a real barbell club around this time last year, maybe even a little bit earlier. Prior to that, but she's based down in Suffolk, Virginia. Laura McCall. She's the head coach of Independent City Barbell. You know, that's a hike.
Yeah.
Girl drove 4 hours to be here at WSO Championships, and she brought. I think she has 4 or 5 athletes competing this weekend. She had someone this morning. Um, I think I just saw her training yesterday too. Like she's
Where was she
she's
training?
I
At
don't
Suffolk.
know. It was on her Instagram. I saw it on Instagram somewhere. Um, anyway, 4 or 5 athletes. She's got 3 that are going tomorrow, and um, it's wonderful how many teams that we have in this region that it's very convenient for us to be here, or somebody who has a car and can get here, and it's not that much of a commitment. But for Laura to drive that far and just really buy in and like be so active with the Instagram and with the community, even though she's geographically far from us, like I just, I'm very grateful for that. And I'm very excited that we get to listen to her story and let her brag about her athletes, and, hopefully, see how much she expands her club. She actually just hosted their first meet a few weeks ago. They wanted to do something small, something in house. She had messaged me earlier in the summer, was like, hey, like, I want to do something that's like one session, one man, one woman, like, and just start there and go. And it seemed like a very successful weekend that she had. And I think she also just hosted a seminar pretty recently too. But I think big things are coming for her, and so I'm excited to have her on this podcast.
Awesome. So you guys will get to hear about that in just a few minutes. But before we get to that interview, lastly, we have some ideas floating around for next year's WSA
Yes.
Championships. We want to float that. We're going to discuss that between Abby and I now. But despite our protestations, apparently our opinions are not the only ones that matter, which is wild to me.
Crazy.
But we want to hear ultimately what you guys think too, because you are our target audience.
Yes.
Idea number one. Abby, what do you think about holding a 2-platform meet?
Terrifying, but let's be honest, like, it's really cool to see what the Florida WSO does, and they do a 2-platform meet. Their shit's huge, and there's other WSOs that I know get like 300 athletes signed up, and so the more of you folks that we can include in WSO championships, I think the better, because we think we do a really great job, and this is a really fun weekend for us, and so we want to be able to share that with everybody. And so I think the only way to do that is to start expanding into a 2-platform meet, unless we want to start doing like a week-long WSO, which that's too big of a time commitment.
We do not.
And that's going to be a no from me, Chief. But more platforms, we can do that. So
there are 2 things that we would need from you all to make this happen. Number one, and this was something we were super proud of this year. You guys helped us sell out in a hurry, and you guys helped us sell out in a hurry, and then you guys built an enormously long wait list. And the good news is we were able to get all of the people off that wait list and get them into the meet if they wanted to spot in the meet. The bad news is that means that a ton of people who signed up initially also withdrew. And we get it. Like, life happens. We asked you guys to sign up for these meets, 6-ish months in advance, and then, work stuff comes up, or family stuff comes up, or vacation stuff comes up, or your training isn't going well, you get injured, whatever. Like, we get that stuff happens. But if you guys as a community decide that we want to do a 2-platform WSO championships, we are all in for trying to facilitate that. But we would need the numbers to hold. So we would essentially need everybody who initially signed up to, or not everybody, but the majority of the people who initially signed up, we would need those people to all hold on to their spots, and we would need the full complement of people who ended up on the wait list. I think Brian mentioned the number to me, and I'm gonna probably botch this number, but I think it was the total number of people who initially signed up plus the entire wait list would have been like 180.
Something like that. That sounds
And
correct.
180 is we can make a two platform meet run pretty smoothly with that. But if we have if we open up 180 slots for a two platform meet and then only 130 end up doing the meet, then
That's pretty friggin' lame.
well, I don't know about that, but I do know that it wouldn't make sense, and it would make for, I imagine, a less exciting atmosphere for everybody involved, because we'd have the number of people needed for a one platform meet spread out over two platforms. Let us know what you guys think. Like, if this is something you guys truly want and you truly think you guys are willing to help us pull off, and by help us, I just mean like sign up, come out and have fun, and lift some weights, then we are happy to give it a shot. If you guys decide that you like the one platform meet, cool, we'll keep doing that. We love doing that too, because right now we hope, we think anyway, we got a pretty good environment set up, and you guys obviously play a big role in that too. But the second thing we would need if we're going to do a two platform meet is even more volunteers. And again, you guys crushed it this year. We had very little issue filling out our volunteer list. Thank you so much again. But two platforms means we essentially, not quite exactly, but pretty close to double the amount of volunteers each session, each day. If you guys are willing to help us out and donate some more of your time, again, we are happy to do that. But I can tell you that we are just an 8-person committee, and if we hold a two platform meet and with the same number of volunteers, there aren't enough committee members to go around, no matter how many tasks. She's just a girl, and Brian is just a Brian, and we can only have him do so many things before he short circuits.
Did you know he's Carly's cousin?
I have heard there's a rumor that Brian Leung and Carly DeRose are cousins. I did hear that earlier tonight. I did, in fact. So Abby will pull that out. You guys let us know what you think, and we'll go from there. What were the other ideas? This was something somebody brought up to me today, and again, we'll talk about it as a committee. We would like your thoughts as our target audience. Right now, our first session each day, the weigh-in is at 6 a.m. First session starts at 8, and the last session starts at weigh-in is at 3. Last session starts at 5. We end up getting done around 7:30 each day. If you guys would like to not have to get up so early, specifically the people that are in the first session, if it would be easier to get volunteers for the first session, easier to get people in the lighter weight classes to sign up for meets, knowing they're going to be first and earliest. An idea that we are willing to consider is starting the meet later. So having the first session start at 9 or 10, that means the weigh-in would be at 7 or 8, and obviously the consequence of that would be we would have to have one session later, so that last session would be, the weigh-ins would be at 5 and the first lift would be around 7. We'd end up getting done around 9:30.
Oh my god.
As she yawns. So the thought process from the person who pitched this idea is a couple of things. One, they wonder how many people truly are training that early in the morning, for specific, talking about weighing in at 6, lifting around 7:30 and doing competition lifts around 8. Their thought process is that not as many people are lifting that early on a consistent basis, and that more people lift in the evenings. So, weighing in at 5, starting to move around 6:30, and lifting from the 7 to 9 range would be more palatable for people than having to do, an early morning session. So we have a later start. That means a later end. Again, we want to do what you guys want, and we also want to do what will get us the most volunteers, because you guys make the world go round. So Abby, what you have thoughts on that?
Yeah, to speak candidly, and I'm still gonna pull this, but to speak candidly, I would very much not be in favor of that, guys. I'm beet salad. It's 11 p.m. right now. Steve and I are recording this. Like, I mean, and like, I was pretty friggin' goofy speaking for that last session, and like 7:30, it felt like I was just like dragging. I cannot imagine trying to keep that amount of energy until 9:30. Like, I would be deceased, and then what? Oh, I gotta go to bed till 10. Like, and also just let's be real. Most of us have full-time jobs. I wouldn't be so happy not compete. Like, I'm gonna think of myself as an athlete here and not as somebody who's speaking or announcing or volunteering, whatever. I would not be so happy competing at 7:30 on a Sunday, not getting done till 9:30, and therefore probably not getting home until 10:30 on a Sunday, having to take work off on. I don't know why there's a thumbs up on the screen.
Oh yeah.
The ghost agrees with me.
Great.
But yeah, no, that's just my perspective because that's my reality. And I realize that that's not everybody's reality. So it's still an idea that we're willing to consider if that's what you're into. That's just my perspective.
Question.
What's your question?
On an average weeknight, what time do you train usually?
I played the 5th.
She starts training at like 8 at the earliest.
I didn't say I was happy.
She oftentimes starts texting me lifting videos at like 9:30. Just for the record, I'm just a fact finder.
But a Sunday is different.
It's
because I don't train on Sundays. That's the thing. Sunday is my one day of the week where I don't have to think about work at my boss, and I don't have to think about weightlifting at my coach that I know watches this podcast.
All right. Well, anyway. We are just two people. No one is more surprised than us to find out that we disagree on this. But we will send it to you guys. Please let us know your thoughts. Here's the third thing. We're gonna have more ideas. We're not just discussing these 3 ideas, but for the sake of brevity, these are the 3 that came.
For the sake of getting to bed because I'm fucking tired.
We had the fine folks at Momentous PT. They came out today and worked on athletes. They were working on volunteers. They were working on everybody. But they
were working on Steve.
They were in fact trying to
fix you.
They were trying to paper mache my old weary bones back to life.
Dang.
But the main reason we want them there because they're really good at what they do. And we hope that they come back next year as our one of our sponsors. But we want their main focus to be on the people that are competing, right? Like that's who we're here to serve. And so right now the way it's set up, they are in the front near where the entrance is, where people are coming in. So you see them as soon as you walk in. You get to greet them and know that they're there, and you can come find them throughout your day. We, partly in an effort to, again, give you guys closer to like a national meet level vibe, we wondered whether athletes would prefer them be situated in the back, somewhere near the warm-up platforms, the warm-up area, and would that be easier for athletes? Would that make them more accessible to athletes in moments where they, if they're warming up and something doesn't feel quite right, maybe they can go get, worked on for 3 to 5 minutes and
for those of us that are 30 plus, if we slept funny or like we stepped wrong.
All the kids at JMU are like, what's a PT? Yeah, what do they do? Like you'll find out. Just wait. But anyway, it's a thought that we had. If you guys like them where they are, if you think that's cool and it's whatever, then we'll be where they are. But if that's we're looking for any little way that we can make this experience better for you guys.
No matter how small.
So again, Abby will poll it. Let us know if there are ideas that we are not thinking of, things that you're seeing that you think we can do better, things that we can do differently. We are willing to work on even the most minute details. So please let us know. And by we, I mean Abby. I said we. By us, I mean Abby, because Abby is us. Anyway, no.
Sorry.
Were you about to vomit at the thought of people flooding your inbox with ideas and suggestions? Anyway, we're gonna wrap up the portion where Abby and I talk at you guys. It's been fun for us. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And please stay tuned for the interview with Laura McCall and learn.
If you don't, I'll find you.
Wow, she'll find you. And here it is.
Good night.
All right, everybody. Our guest today, our very special guest, is from way, way far out there. Way far out there.
so far out there that she's gonna have to tell me how far it took her to get to this weekend's meet. From Suffolk, Virginia, owner and operator and chief boss lady in charge of Independent City Barbell, Laura McCall. Laura, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So your club, Independent City Barbell, you guys had you described it when we were doing our like pre-talk as like my small collection or whatever. You guys took 4 folks. That's a lot of folks for especially the distance you guys traveled. How was the trip itself? And what did you think of lovely Laurel, Maryland? You guys were up there competing at the WSO Championships this past weekend.
Yeah, it was great. Yep, like you said, I took 4 athletes, which our club, we just started in January. It's very small. I only have 12 athletes. So 4 out of 12 is a pretty large percentage considering. It was great. The trip was we stopped a couple times, maybe about 4 hours.
All right, that's not too bad.
Nothing crazy. I actually have one lifter. She's remote. She lives in Pennsylvania. So her trip was only 2 hours.
So she was thrilled that we had it where we had it.
Yes, because in August we ran a little local meet out of Suffolk, and she traveled down for that. So that was a much further trip for her to lift in her home club versus actually lifting at the DMV. So that worked out.
Well, I want to give you an opportunity to talk about how each of your lifters did. But before that, I wanted to kind of give the backstory, the origin story of your club. Like you mentioned, you guys just got started in January. Are you from the Suffolk area, or is that where you were based out originally?
No. So originally, I'm from New York, Syracuse, New York. That's where I started when I got into weightlifting back in 2014.
Okay.
So then in 2021, I moved to North Carolina. So I lived there for 2 years, and then I moved to Suffolk. So I've now been here 2 years. So the Barbell Club officially started in January, like I said, but I've been coaching out of All Grid Athletic pretty much since I moved in October of 2023.
Okay.
And it just kind of grew from there. I had interest in having an official club, people wanting to do weightlifting. I said, if I have at least one lifter who says they want to compete in weightlifting, I'm going to make it happen, do whatever I need to do to give them the resources needed to do that. So that's how we started building.
And you mentioned that you yourself were involved in weightlifting in New York and I imagine also in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
But prior to starting up Independent City Barbell, had you had experience either coaching or running a club?
Yeah, when I was in New York in 2014 is when I did my level 1 USAW, and that was around the time when I was help building a club in the Syracuse area. I didn't own it. It wasn't like mine. I just was like an assistant coach. So I did that for a few years. And then when I went back to grad school in 2018 is when I kind of stopped in that coaching role, but I always continued with volunteering for meets, reffing, competing myself. I did a lot when I turned 35 and was in the master's division, like did all the master's meets. I think I did like 9 meets one year. It was ridiculous. So I've always stayed in weightlifting since I started in 2014. It's just, I've shifted in a lot of roles, and now am in the role of owning a barbell club and head coach and taking on more responsibilities in that realm. That's still kind of new and fresh to me, but I feel like I've been doing it 10 years now at the same time.
Do you still compete yourself, or you're solely into coaching and running the club now?
I still compete. It's just way less. The last meet I did was actually in North Carolina. I lift with a team based out of North Carolina still. I just lift remotely now. So I'll usually attend those home meets, and then I'm planning to do the fall brawl at East Coast Gold.
Nice.
I just haven't been doing any like master level meets lately. I've been more focused on trying to get other people in the sport and experience the competition.
Okay. And you mentioned you guys started up in January. You said if you only had one, you were going to make it happen. Obviously you've got more than one, and I imagine that number will continue to grow. But as you were getting the club off the ground, would you mind kind of talking about that process and anything that you like, any unforeseen like hurdles you had to clear, or anything that maybe you didn't expect about getting that club going?
I think the biggest thing was I wasn't expecting as much interest. Well, I knew people were interested in weightlifting, but not necessarily in like the way that I was offering it, if that makes sense. So like I said, I had that one person say they want to compete. And I said, okay, but I want to do it right. So I want to have an official club, and, you know, that mentality of if you build it, they will come, right? But making sure I had the bandwidth to actually take on athletes, because I work a full-time job. I coach on the side at a CrossFit gym. I do a lot of other things too. So if I'm going to offer this, I want to make sure it's the best and I'm not cutting corners, like I'm doing it right. They're getting what they need out of it. My team is technically kind of remote, so everything I do is through the True Coach app. Okay. So I will build programs and set everything up in spreadsheets and map everything out. And then I got to go and transfer everything into an app. And that's like way more time consuming than I ever anticipated. But definitely worth it to make sure that my athletes are getting all the communication they need. Like if I can't meet with them in person for whatever reason, because of schedules, people have crazy schedules, making sure they have like all the demo videos they need. Like I've recorded a ton of demo videos, making sure that things are explained clearly, and also making sure if they need to reach out to me in the moment of training, like they have access to me, so they're not, you know, wasting their training session trying to figure out, make sure they're doing what they need to do. So that some of those things I wasn't quite expecting, but it's been going pretty smooth.
Okay. And you mentioned you had an in-house meet, it sounds like. When was that? How did that go?
That was beginning of August.
Okay.
My biggest thing was I had athletes who had never competed before signed up for the DMV meet. And I was like, I really want to make sure they have the opportunity to know how it feels to go through the meet experience, even on a much smaller scale. So when they walk into this bigger meet, it's not as overwhelming. So it was a really small meet. We put it together pretty quickly, I think within like 6 weeks. Okay. It was a really short turnaround for trying to get a meet out there and get people signed up. Yeah. But it went great. We had a men's session, women's session. There were, I think, 12 athletes each session, which for a first meet.
That's a full session. That's good.
Is great. I was not sure what to expect. I just knew I wanted to give anyone who needed to do a meet before the DMV meet and couldn't travel further, you know, because I know there are some meets going on much more, you know, north of us, have the opportunity to be able to get that in and get that experience. And it was fun. It was called Gritty City. It was exactly what it sounded like. It was pretty old school, bare bones. I mean, we had a electronic scoring system, but for the most part, it was like pretty old school, local weightlifting, small. Yeah.
Your folks, so the folks that hadn't competed before, they get the experience at the in-house meet. And then did you have any conversations with them about kind of any sort of differences you expected them, just from like even just a feeling standpoint, but either feeling standpoint or venue standpoint, any discussions you had with them going into the WSOs about differences that they could expect going into, I guess, an away game, if you will, if you guys, you opened at home and then you went on the road?
Yeah, well, in our small meet, a lot of people were following themselves.
Okay.
Right. So preparing them to know, you might be in the mix of things. On Saturday, my one athlete, I think she had about 10 minutes before she had to go out for a second attempt. We had to keep her warm. And so that was a new experience. She didn't have to deal with that at our small meet. Either they were following themselves or just much, more balanced wait time between their attempts. So giving them a heads up on prepare for that, which we do in training too. We'll do things like on the minutes or do longer period wait times or practicing bigger jumps. So that way when we're in competition and kind of who knows what might happen in the moment, we are feeling ready for it.
Sure. Yeah. And I imagine they were probably grateful for you doing that in training because like you said, like there were several sessions on Saturday where not only were there a lot of people, but the attempts were very close together. People were bumping up, moving down. Mm-hmm. I forget which session it was. There was one session I commented to another coach, like it's hard to tell. I can tell my athlete, you may be going in 30 seconds or 15 minutes. It's hard to say, like, you know, like, so let's talk about the athletes that you had there. Go in any order you'd like, and kind of how did it go from your perspective, and then what feedback did you get from them on their experience?
Sorry, I look frozen for a second. Is that me?
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah,
I can come back.
You're good on our end.
What was that?
Oh, I just said you're good on our end. You're good.
Okay, I'm freezing a little on my end, but I'll just keep going unless you tell me I'm stuck. I'll go in order. So my first athlete, Tori, she's actually the athlete that was the one who got the ball rolling and making the barbell club happen. You know, when I said, if I have one athlete who says they want to compete, and she was that one athlete for me. So it's pretty cool that it's a little full circle with, like, she was my first athlete at the DMV championship. And also, a side note, as a coaching goal, since I moved to Virginia, my coaching goal was to coach an athlete, at least one athlete, at the WSO championship. So that was like extra cool experience for me, that I met that coaching goal. I got the barbell club started, and the first athlete was Tori. So this is a little cheesy on my end, but so Tori did great. Her snatches, she PR'd her snatch.
Very good.
Her clean and jerk, she did really well. She hit her opener, which was the heaviest opener she's had so far, because she also did the meet in August. And I initially wanted her to open with what we ended up opening at the DMV, but in August she was a little wary about that. So I'm glad we got her up there into that confidence level. She missed her next two clean and jerks, but they're kind of like, they're those misses where, like, you know, you had them and you just had it, like, they didn't quite hit the right spot to be able to lock it out. And but she did great. So she PR'd her snatch. She was only 2 kilos under her best total. And she had a great day.
Good. Awesome.
Yeah. And then James, he's one of my master athletes. He PR'd across the board wonderfully. And if you've watched James, he's got the party trick snatch. He does the split snatch. Every time we go to meet, somebody comments, they're like, "Well, I've never seen that." So he's really fun to watch.
I was actually one of the refs for his session, and his first attempt at the snatch, you know, he walks out there and he's got some sort of elbow issue. So he points to his elbow, and I'm like, all right, cool. That's great. You give him the refs the heads up. That wasn't what I needed a heads up on. I needed a heads up on the fact that I was about to watch a split snatch. The elbow, I'd have figured it out, but like, I was not expecting what came next. It had nothing to do with his elbow.
Yeah. And when we first started working together, I had worked with him through All Grit Athletics in like CrossFit classes, and there's like a separate little supplemental weightlifting class that's held once a week too. So I'd worked with him as an athlete in that realm, but when I took him on as a weightlifting specific athlete, I came to him one day, I said, "This sounds really crazy, but I honestly think from a competition standpoint, I think you would do well with the split snatch." And partially, I mean, really because of his elbow and those imbalances, and it's true, like, he's just been thriving with the split snatch. And as far as a competition standpoint, like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We still work on squatting, overhead squatting, and squatting on the bar for snatches. But as far as from his competition style lift, it's been a split snatch. But yeah, he did great. He PR'd a competition PR for the snatch and PR for the clean and jerk. He missed his third clean and jerk because I gave him a big jump. I said, "We got to put enough weight on the bar to make you squat on the bar," because he was powering everything, which in training, he doesn't power, he squats. So I'm like, okay, you're very strong. We need to try to, let's force it out of you. But it didn't quite line up, but we'll get him there.
When you approached him about transitioning to the split snatch, one, I imagine you say that to some people, and they probably look at you like, I don't even know what you're talking about. So one, did he know what it was? Two, what was his like reaction to that? And then three, like, how did that transition go? Like, was it relatively smooth? Was it bumpy? Like, how'd that go?
Oh yeah. Most people don't know what I'm talking about, which is funny because if you look at like the Rogue Barbell Club banner, you know, is the guy split snatching. It is. I have that flag in my garage. He's split snatching. So when I told him that, he was just like, I don't know what that means. But okay, sure, I'm willing to try whatever, you know. And so yeah, I just had him play around with it, and I think he picked up on it quickly and connected with it quickly and decided he liked working on that, and so we just went with it.
Had you had experience either doing or coaching the split snatch before? Because it's not just as simple as like, all right, well, just like split your legs. Like it's not quite that simple from a coaching or an athlete standpoint.
Yeah. I personally actually tinkered with the split snatch way back when. I don't even know what year, probably 2016, because I was like having a lot of discomfort in my hip. And at the time, I wasn't necessarily working with a specific coach. I didn't work with a PT. I was just kind of figuring out a lot of weightlifting stuff on my own for myself personally. And so I just thought it would be fun to maybe more from a mental standpoint, like I want to snatch and put weight over my head, but something's just not right. I'll just do something different and see what happens. And for a couple of months, I just played with the split snatch, and it was fun and it felt good and it took some pressure off my hip. And so I don't know why. I don't know. I don't have anything else to go with. Other than I tinkered with it. I know that in the masters world, if you watch like a masters national meet, you're going to probably see someone split snatch. It's not uncommon if you have mobility issues or like with James' situation, his one elbow just has a huge degree bend versus the other. Like he's just imbalanced, and I want to try to get that bar balanced over him as best as possible. And if overhead squat's just like not doing that and he can lift more weight in the split snatch, like we're going to give it a go.
Absolutely.
That's basically what it boiled down to. And
you're doing that while continuing to work on the other part, so that if you guys decide down the road that you want to try to go back, like it's not something you got to like relearn how to do it. You're continuing to push both kind of forward at the same time.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I tell them every time, like, if you want to switch out of the split snatch, you are not married to that. Like you don't have to stick with that. Just like with me when I was tinkering snatch, or even with the with the jerk, I've changed my jerk 3 times. I've split in different directions. I've tried power jerking over the years. You just try to, sometimes doing something different actually helps reinforce the old way that you're doing it, or fix something or clean it up. Like, there's no need to feel like you're pigeonholed into doing one thing forever. You change your body changes, you change as a person. Yeah. It's Absolutely. Good to try different things.
All right. And you had 2 others.
Yes, I did. Okay. And then Nestor was in the same session as James. So that was a fun little juggling act for me. That was a different coaching challenge on my end that I was really excited for. Nestor is so hungry for the sport. I love it. He's young. He's only been lifting since I think January. I took him on as an athlete in April. We opened heavier than we've opened in his last. I think this was his 3rd meet. So This is the heaviest we've ever swung for as far as his snatch opener. He was moving great in his warm-ups, no missed lifts. He was feeling good. We were going to open at 95, and I said, you're looking great. You're moving well. Do you want to bump up? And he was like, yes, absolutely. And unfortunately, somehow that snatch just didn't come together on the platform. So he did not hit his snatches, but if you watched him, he was so strong for it. It was ridiculous. There was one point for his 3rd attempt, I was really contemplating just going up a kilo to try and give him a little bit more rest and see if like maybe we'll just pull out 98 because he had missed 97 twice. But at the same time, I really wanted to give him the opportunity to at least just get something on the board at that point. So it was a tough call. I asked him, I said, we can give your rest time, go up a kilo, or if you want to just come out and knock 97 out of the park, we'll do it. And he chose to stay at 97. So he did. And he was so close. He had that thing overhand and it just fell behind him.
Yeah.
Oh, it was devastating. But, sometimes you don't know until you really go for it and say, hey, well, we had everything lined up for you to have a great snatch day. It just didn't happen. And that's sport.
And I think there's still, for the athlete particularly, I think there's still a win there. And that win was more of like the signal that you sent him by saying, hey man, like you look good back here. I think you're good for more than what we thought you'd be good for. Like it didn't work out on the platform, but I think sending him that signal that, you believed in him, not that he didn't know that to begin with, but just kind of reinforcing that, I think is always good for athletes to hear, especially on game day when they're super nervous and they got a lot going on, like to hear from their coach, like, oh, like they think I can do this. Like it makes you feel like you can do a little bit more too.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, that was his third meet. And he's been progressing so fast. Like I'm at this point where it's like, I definitely don't want to hold him back, but I also want to make the right call for him. I want him to hit lifts on the platform. Like nobody wants to miss your lifts on the platform. So it's that balancing, juggling act. But yeah, it was sad, but I mean, I'm really proud of the efforts that he put in. I couldn't communicate that enough to him that like he did everything he needed to do as an athlete. It just didn't show up. And that happens. But as far as clean and jerks, again, he opened heavier than he's ever opened in his clean and jerks. He hit his opener on that, and that was a huge win as well.
Sure, absolutely.
Take it.
Yeah.
And my last athlete, Peggy, she was my last athlete for the weekend. She signed up for this meet before she even officially joined our team. She was so hungry and ready to do a meet. It was so great. So she signed up for the WSO meet. And then about a week later, I think we're like, all right, let's get you on the team officially. Let's go. So, she opened higher than she did in the August meet, which was great. She had a goal of just snatching heavier than she snatched before, and she did a 2 kilo PR, so that was exciting. Yeah. She powered everything, so we know she's got more in the tank on that. In training, she squats, but when you're a newer athlete and you get out there and all that adrenaline's pumping and you power, I told her in the warm up area, I'm like, wherever you receive the bar, just stand up. Do not worry about trying to squat, because she was throwing everything overhead with ease. It was crazy. And then in her clean and jerk, she went 3 for 3, and she ended 1 kilo under her all-time best. So that was awesome. And she PR'd her total too. So that was exciting. She had a great day.
So it sounds like everybody had wins. And as a coach, that's especially when you're, like you said, you've got in one case 2 in one session, you got 4 overall. That's a lot to handle in a given day, in a given weekend. Did you, from a coach, like have any like overall takeaways from how you did, from how the group did, how the trip went?
I thought overall it was great. I'm the type of person who's like always prepare for the worst. Okay. Like I always prepare for like, what if everything could possibly go wrong? What if I mess up everything I possibly could mess up, which is impossible. Like that's not going to happen. Right. So I try to over prepare. Like I'm that person walking around with my little notebook. I got a timer going on my phone. I'm like constantly checking the board to see if anything major's switched. But everything went smooth. I don't think there's anything that I would have necessarily done different, knowing that like in the moment, just things are crazy and you have to make calls quickly and decisions on the fly. And the fact that I think all my athletes walked away with a really great experience is like, that's all I could ever ask for. I just want them to have a great experience. I want them to feel like it was worth their while. They had fun. They want to do it again. They want to tell their friends. I don't know, like just having a great experience.
And listen, we would love to have all of you back and more. My hope is that like by next year, you've doubled your club in size, and every one of them is coming, and you've got 6 athletes per session, and you're just running around with your hair on fire, and it'll be a great time. We'll have a great time. It'll be great.
Yeah, that'll be fun. I would definitely need some more help, but yeah, that'll be fun. I am hoping that as the crew grows, like I was telling Abby, I love volunteering for meets. I just didn't have the bandwidth to volunteer. But I'm hoping that if our club grows and people get used to these experiences, we'll have a team that can help volunteer, that can show up for the community, because that's what it's all about for us. Yeah, it's about being a part of a community and having fun. Yeah,
absolutely. Did you guys have any positive or negative feedback on the meet itself, how it was run, things you'd like to see done differently or things we haven't considered yet that you'd like us to try to add in?
I don't think there's any, like, everything was great. From what I heard, the live stream was top notch. I didn't watch the live stream. I didn't have time, but everyone was saying the live stream was incredible. And I wish I was a little bit more on top of it and shared live stream more and more sooner too. I was just running around like crazy, getting there and getting organized. But from what I heard, the live stream was awesome. I love that you had the podium set up for pictures. That was so cool. The platform, the stage, everything looked really professional. Like that was great. And I was trying to prepare my team for that too. I was like, this is gonna look so professional, top notch. And the swag they got was so cool. I was really jealous. I wanted some cool swag.
Listen, I might know some folks as a thank you for coming on the show. Maybe we'll get you some. Maybe we'll,
Brian, I'm just teasing on that front, but no, it was cool. You really hooked up the athletes. Like you did great.
Here's the key question that will determine whether we can slide you some swag or not.
Oh no!
The question we ask all our guests. There's only one right answer, and I hope you get it right. What do you think about cleaning with straps?
No, never.
Listen, T-shirt's in the mail. T-shirt, it'll be there by the end of the week. That's the correct answer. Great job.
Thank you.
Before we let you go, thank you so much for your time and for squeezing us in on short notice. I really appreciate it. Outside of just growing the club in number, do you have any other like goals for your club in the coming year? Year two is still very early on stages of club development. Do you have anything that you've identified that you want to try to specifically work towards in the next year?
As a coach, as a club, I would love more people to help support putting on meets and volunteering at meets. Is my biggest thing. I have some athletes qualified for the Arnold already. I mean, we want to be able to go to bigger meets too, but I'm all about start small, start in your hometown and then branch out. It would be really great though if we grew and got a little bit more internal support with being able to now start taking our athletes to bigger meets too. The WSO is our first step.
And we like to think it's not a bad first step,
It's a great first step.
Well, Laura, thank you so much for taking some time to come talk to us today. Independent City Barbell, you guys have already made yourselves known, and that will only continue the next year. We look forward to seeing even more of you guys at next year's WSOs. Do you have any questions for us? Any comments, concerns, mutinous intentions that we can address before we get out of here?
No, I don't. You guys have been so great. You're so welcoming and community building. It's been awesome. I'm so glad to be a part of this. Our little club being a part of your WSO feels so special.
All right. Well, thank you again. For everybody else out there, we all of the recaps that you guys sent us, tagging us and everything. We loved sharing how well you guys did this weekend. We sent out Brian Leung sent out a survey for all the athletes and I believe all the coaches too. So you should have that in your inboxes. Certainly by the time this episode runs. Please let us know if you liked something. Let us know. We can try to do more of it. If you didn't like something, let us know. We can try to stop doing it. And we will certainly be communicating with you guys early next year when we get to thinking about where we want to hold this thing next year. But next episode will drop 2 weeks from today. Until then, thank you very much. Have a wonderful week.